Today in our 2017 Chevrolet Silverado 2500, you're going to be taking a look at, I'm going to show you how to install the Firestone wireless smartphone enabled air command compressor system with light duty compressor. A couple of really nice features that I like about this setup is it's completely wireless. Unlike your wired systems that you're going to have to run wires in and airline tubes inside, it becomes a hassle when installing it. Some of the other wireless systems, or most of them, if not all of them, are going to have a second controller that you're going to have to keep track of. If you run off on a trip, leave it at home, you can't control your bags. You can't put air in them or take air out. With this system, you're set up right on your cell phone that you use every single day. Another great feature about it is we can hook it up to a second cell phone. As long as you use the same passkey that you use in the initial setup for that second cell phone can be used to control your airbags. One thing I do want to mention is it is going to require Bluetooth capability. So you want to make sure when using this app, your Bluetooth is turned on your cell phone. Maintenance on the system, not really any maintenance. Maintenance free, you're not going to oil it, you're not going to do anything like that. It's water resistant. One thing I do suggest is maybe checking the air filter once in a while on it to see if it may need to be changed. Very inexpensive way to keep it running nice. Our kit's going to include our compressor, our ECU or electronic control unit, airline tube. You're going to get a couple of T-fittings. This is a bracket for your line that's going to run into your compressor, filter for your compressor, and your line or your wiring to power everything. Our air compressor is what is going to send that air to our bags to air them up. Our ECU or electronic control unit is what gives us that signal in our smartphone to be able to control that. Our compressor and our ECU, it can be mounted in any orientation. There's not any designated way it has to go on. You just want to make sure that you don't submerge your compressor in water. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our fitting. We're going to add it on this valve here. We're going to use a 1/2 inch wrench and a 9/16. You want to make sure you hold this, and we don't want to over tighten it so we don't break it off that end there. And then for our filter, I'm going to thread this right on here. Just like that. As I mentioned, it can be mounted in any orientation. What I suggest doing is either taking this air filter and pointing it back or down so that it doesn't get like soaked with water. If you have it facing forward, it could fill that front end up and block those holes. So you can see how I have it here. I have it facing back, so we're not going to get it loaded down with water. Now we're going to get some large U-bolts with our bracket kit. We're going to go up behind the frame like that. And we'll just set that in place. And then our flange nuts. If you don't have this bracket kit and you're just going to mount your compressor, you're going to have to drill some holes into your frame to mount these. 14mm socket, tighten down our nuts on our U-bolts. Take one of your T-fittings. We need to connect our two lines coming from our airbags. I'm going to cut both of these off. You want to make sure when you cut these that you use an airline tube cutter. If you don't have an airline tube cutter, you can find them here at eTrail.com using pod number F9009. In. From our first T-fitting that we installed, ran a line off of it to our next T-fitting, ran a hose off of that to our ECU, another line to our compressor. You're going to have a plug. It's going to look like this. It's going to connect into your ECU. Go ahead and get that plugged in. Push it until you hear it click. We're going to have an end that looks like this that we're going to connect to the red wire coming off our compressor Now this does have a spade connector on it. I'm actually going to cut those two ends off and put a heat shrink butt connector because it's going to be outside. That heat shrink is really going to help protect that connection from corroding. Ground wire, I ground it right to the frame. Kit's going to come with a self-tapping screw. To run our wiring harness up to the front of the vehicle, I went straight up on top of the frame rail. There's existing wiring. Ran it straight on top, right to here. Now I'm going to take the other end. I'm going to go up behind or up against my firewall, run it across to the battery on the driver's side. We're going to have 3 wires left. Power wire, ground wire, and we have this yellow wire. Yellow wire we're not going to be using. We're just going to tape that end off. Once you get your ground on, we can hook our red wire up to the positive side of our battery. Once you get your air command system hooked up to your battery, then you need to download the app to your cell phone. It's going to look like this. You can adjust your air pressure. You'll notice the numbers here at the bottom. You can watch it climb. You notice it's always going to go over, and then it comes back down to your target number. And then if you want to release air, you just push the down arrow to whatever number you choose, and it will slowly let the air out. So it's very simple to use, very simple to install, and allows you to use your airbags from inside your vehicle with your cell phone.